So find, if possible, the limit as x approaches negative infinity of 3 minus e to the power of negative x. So remember, they add this if possible because sometimes there isn't a limit. Sometimes the y value doesn't approach something specific. So we say that there is no limit. So remember, this just tells us as x gets smaller and smaller and smaller, what is happening to the y. So we look at our graph here, which is the graph of this function. As my x value gets smaller, we need to answer the question, what is happening to my y value? In this specific case, we can see as x gets smaller and smaller and smaller, our function also gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Our y value continues to go down to infinity. So since 3 minus e to the negative x does not approach a finite value, we say the limit as x approaches negative infinity does not exist. It means there is not a specific value that this function is approaching. So this is an example of one of those limits that does not exist. But now let's look at it from the other side. So going into the positives, going to a larger and larger x. So as x gets larger and larger and larger, again, we need to ask ourselves, what is happening to the y value? In this case, we can see that the y value is tapering off to a finite value. We can see that as x is getting larger and larger and larger, our function is approaching 3, and specifically 3 from the left, meaning from below. Therefore, we can say that the limit as x approaches infinity of 3 minus e to the negative x is equal to 3.